people who are scared really should be scared right now. It is a really confronting time that we're all going through. I think that one of the big dangers is that AI is going to take many people's jobs. And that's why I wanted to share these reflections, because I think there's a certain stance that we can take that can be quite healthy to see this as a transformative time, but it doesn't change the fact that there are so many issues, concerns with this technology. I mean, firstly, I worry about the loss of jobs, but also I worry about the way the AI large language models are trained on our data that we've never really given permission to use. It's not so ethical, and it's really unfortunate. But at the same time, there's so many unethical things in the world that if you just stop and you don't participate because of this, while I respect your choice to do that, the world can pass you by. And there are a number of opportunities here for all of us. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. So the first point that I want to make, oh, by the way, I'm in Carnarvon National Park in Australia. I just shared in my previous video where I am. It's just an incredible place. This is a 21-kilometer trek I'm doing all alone. My previous video was just about how to deal with loneliness in this day and age. And it's connected to this video because the point I made there was around how specialized this society is becoming, how complex it's becoming, and how that makes us feel lonely because we feel differentiated from people all around us. And that's really what's happening with AI. I mean, this is a technological revolution going on, and it's taking over so many things. So the first thing to consider is, are you in a job, or does your specialty require some sort of repetition where it's someone else that's directing the creative end product? So it could be that there's a manager in charge of the shop line, and you've got some sort of roster where you're just showing up at a certain time and you're processing something or doing something or mechanically repeating something. And this is no disrespect to those jobs, but unfortunately, if you're in that kind of job, and this includes writers, by the way, like if you're writing under the direction of an editor who's employed by someone else, there's other people that are handling the creative output where things end up going. And unfortunately, you're being paid for your expertise, even though there's a lot of creativity around writing. And it depends what kind of writing you're doing. It actually depends on the next things I'm going to discuss in just a moment. But if you're engaging in this form of repetitive actions and it's under the direction of someone else, you should be very concerned. And you should absolutely start reflecting on what's going on. And I don't want to scare you right now because there is time. And what's important is that you remain flexible in the way you use your output. So to use the example of a writer, even though many people are losing their jobs or losing sense or connection to that craft, they do have options to train themselves in different ways of writing, different outputs. Like, for example, if you're a long form article writer, learning how to do email newsletters is a really important skill, which is copywriting and things like that. So remaining nimble so you can move around and survive this onslaught's really important. But at the same time, if you're engaging in repetitive tasks that can easily be, that are under the control of someone else, those people in managerial positions are going to replace you in some way, shape or form. It's an unfortunate reality. It's going to come in some areas and industries faster than others. So that's just a really important reality to confront. The next thing to consider is, do you own the end result of what you're creating? So this is about what people often talk about as owning the means of production, which is like owning the old factory assembly lines, owning the machines, owning the business itself, which is the capitalists, the people with capital that own the shares, whatever the case may be. If you're working in some sort of industry or as a creative or whatever, but you don't own the end product, then you're still subject to the whims of what management decides to do or doesn't decide to do. The key is to really be owning your own creative output. And the advice I've got, if you're in a position where you're employed by someone else, is to do your best to start using AI in some way. Even if they don't know about it, I mean, okay, you need to decide on the ethics of that. It depends on your own particular circumstances, but I would focus on whatever the output is, make sure to deliver it, and then try to get really good at using AI and using this opportunity to learn about what's out there, what you can do, and to always be thinking, what else can I do on the side to start to create within the whatever the boundaries are around your contracts and things like that. I mean, it's really important to think all that stuff through, but that's just a bit of advice I've got there. So those are the first two things, to be thinking, am I doing something repetitive over and over? That's number one. Number two is, do I own the means of production? And for this third point, it's actually a great moment to talk about this, because I'm about to walk into the art gallery here at Mount Carnarvon. The art gallery is meant to have, I'm puffing because I'm walking up a hill, some incredible pieces of art created thousands and thousands of years ago, I think up to 8,000 years ago, by the Aboriginal Australians. And that's just incredible when we're talking about this topic of creativity, AI, what's going on in the world, who are we, what are we creating? And it just blows my mind that I'm about to see a piece of art. You are too, if you stick with me. A piece of art created thousands and thousands of years ago, well before the time of technology like today. It's standing the test of time, created by someone who's no longer with us, who is just like a piece of dirt absorbed into the earth, giving back to the earth. And yet this person, these people have created something that's about to impact me in some profound way. It just feels like almost the opposite of what's happening in AI, when we feel like we're becoming so commodified, where our information is being absorbed by AI and used as training data to keep on feeding the machine, which is what I spoke about in the previous video. It just blows my mind. But anyway, the third point is that, are you taking charge of your own creativity in this day and age? So I feel like in the face of these big grand shifts, the big changes in the world, I've got a choice between being a victim to it, letting things happen to us, complaining about it, or actually taking charge of our own reality, of trying to use it to our advantage. It's a really tough thing to talk about, because I think that we do need to complain for many things. We need to rise up, we need to collectively engage in action, we need to make the world a lot better. But the question is, how do we channel that frustration? So this frustration that you may feel around AI, are you able to channel it into some sort of creative actions, which is kind of what I've been speaking about just before. So to close out the video, I'm going to wait just a moment and take you inside this art gallery to share what my own personal stance has ended up becoming when it comes to AI. I didn't want to record there. It's an old burial site as well, which is really important in terms of returning the bodies, the spirits of the deceased back to the earth. So yeah, just incredible artwork. Thousands and thousands of years old. So I feel like with AI that this is one of those very revolutionary moments in history where a technology is coming in that is just going to shape everything. There's so much power behind it, because of the capitalist system we live in, with huge corporations that are in some sort of a technological arms race on who's going to control this technology, that the pace is just huge. There's nothing that's going to stop it. So I feel like it's incumbent upon us, and this is what I guess I generally focus on with the vessel and the different platforms I've created out there, which is very focused on the personal transformation piece. So what is it that we can do in the face of all this? I think that channeling any frustration, any fear we've got into improving our own skills to use it, to participate in it, to actually use this technology potentially to reshape the world around us in hopefully positive ways. As far as I'm concerned, it's the only choice we've got. I mean, I was at the other cathedral part of this walk, which is really special, and there was a sign there and I read it, and it said how the Aboriginal paintings on the wall, they often painted their hands, and painting the left hand showed that when you put your left hand on the rock, you're giving your spirit back to the earth. And when you're painting your right hand on the rock and putting your right hand, the sandstone rocks there, you're receiving spirit back from the land into you. I just thought it was so beautiful, the way the Aborigines saw themselves and their connection to the land, and who they are at a spiritual level is connected in this circle of life of giving and receiving. I feel that with us, that's the stance that we've got to take, that we've got no choice but to take. So the frustration we may feel, the fear that many of us feel around AI, we've got to channel it, take it, learn how to use it, and give back to the world in the most productive ways that we possibly can.